Hello everyone. Today's session will discuss the changing norm of social equity and how the social equity is being changes from time perspective. This is the part of the unit 9 of the state of, society and public administrations. So let's focus on this, the concept, the normative concept of this changing norm of the social equity. So I'll structure this session in this way, like this: how the concept, the social equity, has been emerged, what is its essentials in today's 21st century. Then I'll distinguish between the social equity and the concept of social equity and equality. What is the difference between social equality and social equity and social equality? And then I'll move to the what are the theoretical root, the scholar who are talking about the social equity, like starting from the Aristotle, then John Rawls, then Amartya, and like this. Then I'll talk about what is the relevance in today's 21st century in the context of India. So in Indian scenario, how the equity has been institutionalized in term of constitutional support, or the how the equity has been addressed in the Indian constitution. Later on I'll look into the what are this practical scenario in India. Then I'll conclude what is the way forward so far as the social equity is concerned. So let's focus on the normative concept of the social equity. So before that, I'll make you I will try my best to make you understand the social norm. What do you mean by the norm? How the norm which regulate the social life and the operating of the institution in the society also would like to focus before I going into the social equity. So the norm refers to the shared expectations and standard of behavior that guide how individual as well as the institutions should act within a society, which gives the guideline for the action of the institutions and how the institution will behave towards these individuals. So these norms are not merely a personal preference of the agent who is sitting in the institution of the society. Rather, it is a collectively formed pattern that regulates what is considered as acceptable, fair, and legitimate. That means the norm must be acceptable, means get legitimacy from the individual in the society, and which is having the basics principle of fairness, and therefore it is legitimate in the society. So norms operate as invisible framework that shape the decision making, power distribution, and resource allocation in the society. They provide a basics for evaluating actions and system, determining whether something is seen as just or unjust, appropriate or inappropriate, or inclusive or discriminatory. That has been reflected by the norm. So these are the norms which regulate so far as the social theory of equity is concerned. So in the context of equity, norm helps society to understand whether it is just or what fairness means, but how it is not only focusing what fairness means, rather how it is being operating, means how fairness is being practice in the society, it matters. So equity addresses two things. One thing is what is the fairness, and how the fairness is being practiced in the society through the institutionalized manners. So norm of equity therefore influence law, policies, social custom, institutional behavior, and interpersonal relationship in the society. So these are the background which I have explained to you to understand the concept of equity. So equity, basically equity refers to the principle of fairness which leads for the social justice through distribution of resources, opportunity and outcome. I said when we are talking about equity, equity basically address these issues of discriminations, exclusions, and aim to have the inclusivity, inclusive society. And how to have this inclusive society? This tool is to redistribution of the resources, opportunity and its outcome. That means in a society, no group, no individual can manipulate or operate the social norm in that way that the social outcome or the outcome of the functioning of the society can only benefit to the people those who are sitting or operating this system. That means what it aim is to the equity aim is to address exclusion. That means no individual or no group in the society excluded both the process of the basic functioning of the society as well as its outcome. Means when this social function is basic social function is functioning in a system, outcome of it must be reached to the people standing at the last. That means proportionate redistribution of the social resources, social opportunity, so also the social the outcomes. So equally, on the other hand, equality refer the treatment equally. Everyone should be treated equally, and there is no special provision for the people whom need the special take care. Take the example. Suppose in a class. Suppose in a class I am delivering a lecture on social equity, and I am delivering the lecture in English language. Suppose some of the students, those who can understand the English and also understand the concept of equity, but they cannot understand exactly the English language. Maybe the issues of language is a problem for them, or maybe the issues of context is a problem for them. For that type of student, teacher need to address. If that is a language issues, so language barrier has to be addressed by the teacher. Suppose they can understand in Hindi, then the teacher can make them understand as much as possible in a Hindi language, so that the student, those are having the language barrier, can understood the concept better. On the other hand, those students, even though they know the English language and do not understand the clearly the concept, they could understand if the teacher will give more emphasis to make them understand with an example, or if they are lacking some linkage problem, teacher can make them linkage with the issues. Take the example. Suppose I am talking about in a society, someone must not be discriminated, someone must not be excluded. If they do not understand, if they not understand the concept of exclusion, discrimination, that concept teacher can make them understand with this basics example. Take this example. Suppose in a society or in a rural village like in India, many social group are living there, and maybe in term of the constitutional terminology, general people, scheduled caste people, scheduled tribe people, OBC people, like this. So in a society, suppose in a village there is any collective function or community functions, no community should be discriminated on the basis of their social identity. So these are the things students should understand in a clear manner if the teacher could give the example. So I'll let you take to this concept again, the difference between equity and equality. As I address, equity is addressing the outcome, and equality it addressing the opportunities. Only providing opportunity will not assume that equality will be same. Therefore, when we are providing the opportunity, someone need more, maybe someone need less. So the differentiation principle, or we may distinguish who each need what. Suppose in term of numerical, someone we can express it. Someone need 10%, someone need 20%, someone need 50%. So accordingly, we'll provide opportunity so that the outcome would be equivalent, or we can have a balance. In terms of providing the opportunity, if we differentiate, there may be, it seems there may be some discrimination, but this discrimination is for the greater goal, not the discrimination to kill the merit. So it must not be understood that when you are distributing some resources or opportunity, there must not be any discrimination among the group or among the student. It produces a discrimination and kill the merit. We must not understood in that manner, because these discriminations or these categorizations or this differentiation for greater equality. Therefore, this is justifiable so far as the normative term is concerned. So those who are historically disadvantaged group in terms of culture, in terms of economy, in terms of structural barrier, they need to be addressed differently. Therefore, they can come up with the advantage section, the affluent sections. As I said, in terms of language barrier, student cannot understand because of their language barrier. So for that group of students, we need to have a special attention so that they can understand it better in terms of language barrier is concerned. Suppose, as I said earlier, in terms of language, the one angle, the other angle also some contextual problem. Suppose some students are not able to link to the context. For that student also we need to have a different approach, different maybe some different session. So this discrimination is a discrimination for the greater equality or greater goal. Therefore, it must not be understood that this discrimination produces again discrimination and killing the meritocracy, which is not at all. As I said, equity having a difference from the equality, and equality is treating everyone is in an equal manner, but equity is not treating everyone in an equal manner. Rather, equity is treating on the basis of their differentiations. In terms of historical differentiation, in terms of cultural or social structure, so and so that everyone can come together and get this same outcome so far as state function or social function is concerned. So let me focus next is why we need to have a equity in the society. What is the requirement? Do we really need to have equity in the society? Why do you need to have equality? The answer is very simple. In a society, to have the cohesion, integrity, and brotherhood, we need to address the differentiations and discriminations which produce exploitation. Suppose some group of people in the society, those who are affluent and close to the power corridor, having resources in terms of social and economic, they can exploit those who are have not in Maxian term. Therefore, take the in Hindi, the badi machli can eat to the small machli. So to avoid this, and if the body machli will eat the small machli, that means in a society there would no be a tranquility, there is no any cohesion. Therefore, to address this exploitation and conflict and produce the cohesion in the society, we need to have equity. So equity on the other hand, having the principle of fairness for the social justice. So fairness norm evolved to regulate power, so that those with more resources or authority cannot dominate to the smaller group, or you can say those who are not having closer to the power corridor or not having the resources. Therefore, to stop or to reduce the exploitations, we need to have a equity in the society, and equity will encourage for the cohesion and unity and integrity in the society and produce brotherhood. And produce brotherhood. That is the reason normatively we will prescribe that society, where the society having greater extent of equity will have greater extent of cohesion and unity and integrity in the society, and the society where there is lesser equity or no equity, having more conflict and collision, and for the smooth functioning of the society, you always avoid the collision in the society, conflict in the society. Therefore, we need to have equity. So far as the types of equity is concerned, we may discuss various types of equity. Take the example, the procedural equity, which focuses on whether decision-making process are fair or inclusive or not. They stick to the procedure of the things, which is not focusing on the substantive issues. The other angle of the equity is the restorative equity. Restorative equity seeks to repair the historical and structural injustice which has happened to a particular group or a people. The other one is the social equity. Social equity in a toto emphasize fairness in social relationships, cultural recognitions, and respect for identity, dignity, and participation of each and every individual in the society. That means the social equity addresses one, the economic resources issue related with the economic resources, and issue related with the cultural resources. Therefore, we can say equity is highly essential to have a cohesion and integrity in the society. As I said, there is a procedural equity, restorative equity, and both can address the social equity. So let me focus on the theoretical root of the concept of equity. First, I would like to focus on the Aristotle concept of EPIKIA. EPIKIA means the equity. Aristotle introduced the concept EPIKIA, which is meaning the equity, as a corrective justice. He argued that laws, being general and cannot capture every circumstances, so equity is necessary to correct the rigidity of the law. For Aristotle, equity does not oppose the law, but rather complete it by applying fairness when strict legal application would produce the injustice. Therefore, equity is essential. So, equity requires moral judgment so far as Aristotle is concerned, and contextual understanding and attention to specific reality and need of the individual. So far as Aristotle is concerned, equity is much more important in a society where there is a huge diversity are there. To focus on the other thinker like the John Rawls, the concept of fairness is justice. So Rawls argued that a just society distributes benefit and burden in the society in a fair manner, based on the principle that free and equal person would choose being a choose behind a veil of ignorance. That means a person should not know his condition, and it is in a theoretical terminology, John Rawls put it that is called veil of ignorance. Rawls emphasized the difference principle. So far as Rawls social justice is concerned, and the one of the principle out of three principles is the differentiation principle, which stated that social and economic inequality are only justified if they are benefiting to the least advantaged member of the society. That means if we are differentiating for the equity or for the benefit of the last ladder of the citizen, and that must be benefited by the least advantage in the society, in that situation only the differentiation principle could be justified. So Rawls link equity for fair equality of opportunity, requiring not only formal but substantive access to the developmental resources and institutional participation. That means when the state is distributing its benefit as well as the burden, a state distribute in such a manner as is prescribed, the applying for the differentiation principle, where the people sitting in the last ladder will be benefit out of that. So let me focus on the what is Amartya Sen's idea so far as this equity is concerned. So Amartya Sen shift focus from resource to the capabilities. Amartya Sen not give much emphasis to the resource distribution, rather the building of the capability of the individual, which help themselves to avail the opportunity. That means empowering the individual through the capability buildings. So equity requires enhancing people capabilities, not merely providing equal resources or opportunity on paper. That means Sen highlight that social, cultural and economic barrier limit capability. Therefore, the barriers should be addressed through state apparatus, means through state policies, which is the prime motto of a democratic political system. So let me focus on the other thinker of the equity, that is Nancy Fraser. Nancy Fraser, the concept of redistribution and recognition. So Nancy Fraser argue that injustice operate in a two-dimensional manner. One is the economic dimension, that is the interconnected, and both redistribution and recognition are interconnected. So redistribution linked to the economic aspect of the injustice, and that is the poverty, economic so and so. The other side of this injustice, the recognition principle, or you can say the cultural aspect. So redistribution focuses on economic inequality. However, that is the wealth, income and material resources are all together among different group, and structural poverty also the part of the redistribution, and the cultural dimension linked to the recognition, that is the social stigma. Take the example in India, and the social status. If we look into the rural area, the social status of the so-called upper caste and the scheduled caste, or called scheduled tribe, having a different social status. The social stigma which is being practiced from the many years together has to be addressed through the recognition principle. That means society need to recognize every individual as a equal one. So there must not be any preference or any categorization of upper caste, lower caste, middle caste, so and accordingly fix their social status. So as far as Nancy is concerned, recognition focus on cultural and symbolic inequality, which I have discussed, and Fraser proposes how this could be addressed, how the social stigma or the economic barrier could be addressed. And so far as the Nancy's principle is concerned, that is what I can explain in a participatory parity. What is participatory parity? As far as Nancy's model of participatory parity is concerned, where equity means creating a condition under which all individual can participate as full, equal and social life. That means in a social condition where the environment will produce, no one will be left out or no one will be discriminated on the basis of their social identity and participate in the life of the social functions. So these are the thinkers which talk, those who are talking about the concept, normative concept of the social equity. So let me focus on how the social equity having a relationship with the power, the role of power and social hierarchy in the equity. So equity is deeply shaped by power relations. So group with greater power often shape the norm, law and institution in a way that preserve their own advantage. So social hierarchies such as caste, class, patriarchy, race and ethnicity function to normalize inequality, presenting unfair arrangement as natural or deserved. So achieving equity therefore require making power structure visible, questioning their legitimacy and challenging form of privilege that are otherwise taken for the granted. So these are to be addressed through the social equity state, so that the social equity could be possible. So let me focus on what is the relationship between the social equity, liberty and justice. Is there any relationships among the three concepts? So as I said, the three are cannot exist in isolations, and everyone is related to the other one to get the justice, and the prime focus of social equity is to have a justice. Therefore there is a correlation between the equity, liberty and justice. So as I would like to explain that liberty refers to the ability of the individual to live freely and pursue their interest. However, liberty is meaningful only when individuals have the real capacity to exercise it. That means, take the example. In India, a child can be have the education in between the up to the 14 years level, free and compulsory education. So I would focus here the free education. So we have a constitutional provision that children up to the age of 14 can have a free education. So free education means the government would not charge any fees so far as the getting education is concerned. But if his family or her family condition is not well and would not provide such facility to have educations, means the family is incapable to provide education to the children because there are so many reasons. Simply I would say, suppose there is a region of poverty, and in term of poverty, the children can help to the parent so far as their earning is concerned. Therefore, children could not be in the school. So only by having liberty will not enough to be educated for a student. So such as the equity ensure that liberty is not just a formal right but an actual live possibility by addressing the structural condition that shape the choice and the opportunity. So justice is achieved when both the liberty and equity operate together and well operate, allowing individual to participate the dignity, access and fairness in that society. So if that is the conditions, the justice can be possible. So let's we'll have a break and we'll continue for the rest of the time to cover up the other issues.
Hello learners. Are you interested in pursuing a career in environmental health and management or occupational health and safety? Here is a program for you. IGNOU launches a new program, a postgraduate diploma in environmental and occupational health. This program is a postgraduate diploma program with 40 credits and the medium of instruction is in English. The minimum duration for completion of this program is 1 year and it can also be completed in a maximum of 3 years. The target group for this program would be professionals who are working in the environmental and the occupational sector, in non-governmental organizations, employees who are working in the industrial setup, in the occupational sector, and those from the Central Pollution Control Board, and also from the doctors, the nurses, and the paramedical graduates and other employees. The job opportunities for this program is tremendous. You find opportunities in the health sector as the environmental health and safety specialist, as environmental toxicologist, as workplace wellness site coordinators, and as environmental health and the safety specialist. The objectives of this program would be to define the physical, the chemical, and the biological hazards, and also the various environmental hazards that we observe. Then we will discuss the impact of these hazards and also the occupational health hazards in general. We would also learn to identify the management of these hazards, and finally we will discuss the laws, the policies, and the management techniques for them same. This program consists of 10 different courses and all these 10 courses are compulsory. The instructional system at IGNOU follows the audio-video approach. We have the teleconferencing sessions and also the assignments which are an integral component of this program. The evaluation would be 30% for the assignments and 70% for the term end examinations. The program coordinators for this program are Professor B. Rupini, Dr. Sushmita Vaskar, and Professor Ruchika Cuba from the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies and from the School of Health Sciences, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. The details where you can log into this program are ignouadmission.samarth.edu.in. Welcome to this program.
Welcome you back. So, in continuing with the previous discussions, I would like you to bring you further. Now, what are the constitutional provisions which address the equity in India specifically? So, the Indian constitutions embodied the value of justice, liberty, and equality, and which which will produce the fraternity as the foundational to this nation state. So the preamble commits social, economic, and political justice, ensuring that equity is not just a social idea but a constitutional mandate which state need to address these issues and produce the equity for social justice. So, in addition to the preamble, the directive principles also provide some specifically article dedicated for the equity, promoting of the equity. So let me focus on the fundamental right, some article which is dedicated for this, the principle of equity, like the article 14, 15 and 16. And article 14 guaranteed equality before law. And the article 14, we can distinguish part 1 and part 2. That is, the first one is the negative things, which is guaranteed equality before law for everyone, and which equal protection of the law is the second one, where there is a provision of the addressings for the differentiations, which allow reasonable classification to correct the disadvantage, which is historical or economical and so and so. And in this part of the article, facilitate the state, facilitate the government to establish law for the reservation, affirmative actions to address this inequality in the society. And the greater objectives of addressing of the inequality is to have a cohesion, equilibrium in the society, so far as the ethos of the democracy is concerned. And Article 15, prohibit all type of discrimination in the society. It may be the racial discrimination, it may be caste discrimination, it may be gender discrimination, or it may be economic and so and so. In a democratic political system, and this discrimination has to be reduced as minimum as possible, and Article 15 is empowering the state to do so. And Article 16 ensure equal opportunity of all individual in public employment. So this is Article 16, empowering state to provide special provision for the reservation and fill the seat and for their representation in all sector of the employment for the greater cause of the social justice. So the affirmative action and reservation as the instrument of equity, as I said. So affirmative action policies aim to encourage representation of the historically marginalized, disadvantaged sections in many sections of the society, like state, like in education, in employment, and in state system. So reservation is one of these principle to address this disadvantage for the equity. So the structural disadvantage can be overcome through the individual effort, cannot be addressed through individual effort alone. The state must intervene to create fair opportunity. So here I would like to put before the student that you need to understand the equality of opportunity and the fair equality of opportunity, the differentiation between equality of opportunity and fair equality of opportunity. And here the Indian Constitution's Article 14 and linked to the 16, Article 14 part B, that is that the equal protections empower the state to have a fair equality of opportunity. So let me first explain what is the normative difference between the equality of opportunity and fair equality of opportunity. Take the example. We are conducting or we are in conducting a sports. Suppose 100-meter race for everyone. Those who are age of in between 10 to 15. We are conducting a race for 100 meters, and in the 100-meter race there is no any discrimination between the physically handicapped or physically fit persons. So if the physically fit person, if the physically challenges, Divyanga will like to compete with the physically fit persons, and both they are in the same track to compete the 100-meter race, would you be able to provide justice to the physically challenged or the Divyanga persons who is competing with the physically fit persons? I do not think so. And the organizer will be failed to address the issue related with the Divyanga, because see, competition must be in a equal food. So the physically fit person's conditions is not equal to the Divyanga person. Therefore, when you are put the competitions, that means what the Constitution of Article 14 Part B say, equal should be treated equally, unequal should be treated unequal. That means if there would be competition among the physically challenged, that is Divyanga, the competition within among the Divyanga would be fine, and that would be produce the justice. And those who are physically challenges, Divyanga, could not be compete with the physically fit person. Therefore, we need to have a differentiations, and accordingly we'll make the differentiations and treat the person differently, so that we can reach to the destination, that is the destination of justice, social justice. So this measurement seeks substantive equality, not special privilege, and function as tool of restorative justice. It is one of the example which I cited. So which I will give the example of the caste hierarchy and the atrocities, so and so. So where there is a reservation with the scheduled caste people, it is not because of addressing their poverty and hunger. Rather, it is addressing of the two things. One thing is the representations, because this social group need to represent in all sector of the government, that is in terms of education, so and so. And the other one is enabling the group for their development, for their empowerment. So to address the representation and enabling, will address through the special packages or special discrimination, you can say, or the addressing the historical discriminations. So as I said, equity, the primary objective of the equity for the social justice, and the Indian Constitution is addressing these issues through different packages and provision. As I cited example in fundamental right, Article 14, 15, 17, the discrimination, and 16 this employment opportunity, in DPSP also, and so many commission and many special state provision to address this issues. So let me focus on the why the social norm and the construction of equity is matter to be addressed by the Constitution. So the social norms dictate what is considered as a fair or deserve. So norms are shaped historically and evolve through cultural, religious and institutional influences. Therefore, those who are in the dominant side or dominant group must not manipulate the things. And equity is not simply an objective principle, it is socially constructed and politically committed, so that we will have a balanced and fair society, where there would be no discrimination and the inclusivity will be prevail in the society. So let me focus on the intersectionality and equity. What is the correlations between the intersectionality and equity? So equity must consider overlapping from overlapping form of operations. It operates in a multi-layer field. You cannot compartmentally say that in that area the operation is ongoing, and the other area there is no such like. So social identity, that is the caste, gender, class, religion, so and so, are interdependent, and policy addressing single axis injustice are insufficient. So intersectionality reveal different access to resources and respect. So justice require multiple layer and context specific strategies. What is context specific strategy? That means in terms of the social context, state has to address these issues which could establish the equity. So and then after discussing the concept, the theoretical background, the constitutional provision, let me focus on the the measuring of equity. How we can how we will measure the equity, or what are the indicators, how we can measure the equity, and what are the challenges. So equity measurement extends beyond the economic matrix. It could not be measure only in economics. Take the example, poverty. Poverty is not only the economic criteria where the economic angle of discrimination or economic angle of exclusion is happening. Rather, because of there are no multi layer of discrimination happening just because of poverty. Take the example. Suppose, as I cited prior to the sessions, someone or family is suffering from poverty, and because of poverty, the kids are helping to the parent in their earning for their livelihood. Therefore, they are not able to attend this school. This is one angle. The other angle is economy also having an impact in terms of their living. Suppose someone is having a problem of health problem, and they need to have a operation or medicines, and their economic is not allow. They want to fill their stomach to buy their medicine or go for their operation, which is also one of this angle where economic is impaired not only to the fulfilling their stomach or eating or 2 meal in a day, rather more than that. So data disaggregation is essential for identifying the disparities. So the quantitative and qualitative analysis must be integrated to know the level and extent of the challenges or the discrimination. So measuring equity is political, not merely technical. So take the example, if in world level $1, those who are earning $1 per day is below poverty line. But in Indian context, this statistic is reducing some other methodology. So it is varying from state to state. Therefore, what I suggest is measuring equity is political. No, it is not technical. Undoubtedly, the issues is there, but it is more political. So what are the barriers to achieving the equity? As I mentioned, the concept, the theory, the constitutional provision. So what are the barrier, and how we could address the equity? So among the so many barriers, there is no single barriers that I can discuss in this session. There are multiple barriers. So among the barriers, the institutional inertia, which raises the structural challenges, is one of the barrier, and the other barrier is the cultural stigma and stereotype reinforcing inequality. As I said, the social status of the upper caste in a society, in a village in India, is much more higher than the social status of a people of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe in a village today in 21st century. Therefore, this cultural stigma has to be addressed through state policies. Then the resource disparities, maintain power hierarchy. Resource must not be concentrated by any group or any individual which produce the and which is help the group or the individual to manipulate the things in favor of them. So the other one, the political opposition, arises from group fearing. Loss of privileges is one of the barriers. So equity requires persistent collective mobilizations, and since it is a societal issue, therefore the address has to be collectively address these issues. So so what would be the approach that our state has to be adopt to address this barrier? So I would suggest the transformative approach, which is to be easy to address the equity. So the transformation goes beyond inclusion and representations. because because of the changings of the time, the requirement of the society, need of the society has been changing. So the equity require restructuring system and practices. And empowerment includes voice, agencies, and decision-making power to the disadvantaged sections. The solidarity network foster collective resistance, and the other one is the transformation aim to long-term social justice. So when we are talking about transformation for what? The transformation for long-term social justice, which will produce the social cohesion, social integrity in the society, and reduce the discrimination and the exclusion in the society. So how, when we are talking about to address these things, we can also put it in a way कि हमारा way forward क्या होगा? What would be the way forward? How will to strengthen this? In terms of state perspective, we can say strengthen the affirmative actions and social welfare program. So whatever the Constitution provide us in the Indian context to for the equity and so, that need to be implemented in the grassroots level and transforming the constitutional language into the reality. Then and there, the equity could be possible and in a better form. Then promote inclusive growth and educational equity. When I am talking about the inclusive growth, so the national growth or the development of the nation in terms of economic, science and technology, it need to be percolated down from top to the bottom, and everyone of the society should take part of its development outcome. So then and there, the inclusion could be possible and equity can be prevail. So then the other angle could be the empowerment of the local people through local governance, ensuring equitable resources distributions. Then foster awareness about equity and human rights. That means the dignity of the individual in the society need to be recognized. As Nancy Francis said, that the recognition principle and redistribution principle. So the recognition principle is much more important than the redistribution principle. But one cannot work with the other. That means both will be together, but we must give emphasis to the recognition than the redistribution. So in conclusion, I may say that the true social equity goes beyond legal equality. It is not a legal or the directives only. It demands active measures to uplift the marginalized and ensure fairness in opportunity and outcome. As I said, opportunity alone will not fulfill the things. As Amartya Sen talked about, the people should have the capability to enjoy their opportunity. Take the example, Article 326 of the Indian Constitution talking about if you are not legally debarred and eligible as far as prescribed norm is concerned, we can contest for the post of member of parliament or the legislative assembly, which is prescribed norm of the Indian Constitution. But any citizen of India, those who are eligible as well as legally not debarred, can be able to contest in the election, or can even if formally contest, can be able to win the elections without having the resources, social capital, network, so and so. And that is called the resources, the social resources, the economic resources. Therefore, Amartya Sen talking about this formal equality or the equality on the paper will not work until unless they would empower or capable enough to enjoy their opportunity. So equality gives everyone a chance. Equity ensure everyone can success. As I said, equity is equity is not contradictory to the equality. Rather, equity is taking further to the equality for the greater goal, that is the social justice. So equity is a moral, social and political imperative. It challenges structural hierarchy and cultural dominance. As I said, structural hierarchy and cultural dominance, which can understood in a cultural dimension. The goal is not merely fair distribution, but share human flourishing. How the human can live in a humanly and equal foot with the other fellow citizen, that is the important. So equity strengthens democratic legitimacy and social cohesion. The ultimate aim of equity is to produce social cohesion in a democratic political system where democratic legitimacy would be there. So commitment to equity requires continuous reflection and collective action. Since it is not an individual or group problem, rather it is a social problem, societal problem. Therefore, we need to address these issues societally. And there must be collective conscience to think of it, because it is a social problem. Therefore, there is a collective address to these issues. So let me conclude with this, and if you have any questions so far as this session is concerned, we can interact with me by my WhatsApp or email and so and so. Thank you all.